Good morning, everybody. It's indeed a pleasure to be part of this Thought Leaders Workshop for all of you from the manufacturing sector. So congratulations, IRIM, for organizing this event, and I understand this is the 8th year running. And we are privileged to be invited to be part of this workshop. What is also intriguing for me is that typically in a workshop of this nature, normally themes around inclusivity, talent, and gender in particular, such sessions are planned towards the fag end of the program. But I was delighted to learn that the Institute and its members and leadership, they recognize the role, the power, and the ability to contribute that women possess, and therefore possibly decided to have this as your starting or the opening session. Now, before I delve into some ideas, some perspectives that I would like to share with all of you, I would like to mention the genesis for this book, Nari Shakti, which culminated into today's session. Some excerpts from the book and some ideas from the book would be shared in today's session. Now, Nari Shakti is a book which is a culmination of several years of experience of working with women, for women, and as a woman being part of this industry for several years. And at the same time, in the last 15 years, closely looking at the economic agenda of the country through women empowerment, particularly for those who are in the grassroots and those who are living in Tier 2, Tier 3 locations across the country. So the book and today's session will focus upon not the typical challenges women have or the success stories of women who have made it to the top, but looking at the lens of the role that women can play and are playing in terms of economic capabilities for the country and the contribution they are able to make for themselves as a result. What are the reasons why that's not happening at the speed and at the pace that we would like it to happen? And what is it that various authors, various thinkers who are part of this book have been able to talk about is what we will look at briefly in today's session. Now, when we think about Nari Shakti in the context of manufacturing sector, I looked upon some statistics, and what I learned from that is that in the manufacturing sector, we have at this point of time far less number of women as compared to rest of the world. And you would also note that while at the entry level, we find larger number of women actually being part of the manufacturing sector, but as they progress, the percentage actually increases. The percentage of women at the CXO level, for instance, is really very low, as this chart depicts. Now, this sort of a phenomenon of women not being able to sustain themselves in the workforce, there could be several reasons, and particularly in the manufacturing sector. But before we get into that, may I request for the first set of questions to be posed, and that will be coming up in your phones. I would like to know from your experiences, what percentage of women are part of your organization? That's the question. And if you could quickly give your response, that will enable us to get into the next part of our discussion. I hope you have all downloaded the app, and we'll take a few seconds to collate the answer, and it'll just be coming up. Can you please raise your hands if you have already responded? Okay. I think we can now have the answer. Okay. I think in the interest of time, we'll keep going. And when the answers are ready, I think it will come up on the other screen and we will jump to that slide to understand the perspectives. So, well, this is important for us because in the context of the manufacturing sector, these are the current realities. Now, if we were to look at, on the other hand, the number of engineers the country is producing, we are probably the second largest in the world after China. The number is only growing, and as the statistics say, approximately 45 to 50% of the women in engineering programs today in most academic institutions are, it's a healthy trend. Well, if this is the scenario with respect to manufacturing sector, I mentioned earlier that the focus for today's session is what is it that women are capable of contributing and where do they stand today? So if you look at overall population, we are almost 50-50, but when you look at the contribution of GDP by women, it is far less. Now, this is what is worrisome. Are we really exploiting the potential of both the genders adequately in the country? Now, on the one hand, we have large number of engineers coming up. We have the manufacturing sector, which is interested in welcoming women, and there are many manufacturing organizations like the Tata, the Ola, Mahindra, to name a few, who have set up factories which are only run by women. And I am myself very privileged to mention that I started my career in the manufacturing sector with Crompton Greaves, and I cut my teeth with the corporate career through Crompton Greaves and learned a lot, and I'm forever indebted to that organization. And thereafter, I had another brief stint with Fiberglass Pilkington. So while this happened in the 80s, and over the years, we have lots of women engineers coming out of academic institutions, but still their ability to contribute in a sustainable manner to the GDP and also for themselves is still something that we need to be concerned about. As I said, when it comes to number of women engineers coming out of academic institutions, it is very good STEM, if you can see, but the school, if you look at the overall graph, from those who are admitted to schools to the dropouts and thereafter being able to continue with their education, these are all areas which require to be addressed and are being addressed. So if you're thinking that it is a problem with the manufacturing sector that we are not able to attract and retain adequate women, I would like to throw some light on other sectors as well. You look at the IT sector. Again, at the entry level, you have 38% of the workforce being women. But by the time they reach up to CXO level, it's only about 10 to 15% of them stay on. So we lose a lot of women. Not only do we have a problem in attracting, but we lose them as well along the way. Let's look at the entrepreneur status for women. Once again, if you look at women-only founded companies, they are very few. And same goes with women entrepreneurs, which means there could be male and women together forming enterprises. That's only to the tune of, again, 70-odd%. So what I'm trying to say is we do have a problem across all sectors. It's not something unique to only manufacturing sector. So what's holding women back? That's really the question. There is still stereotyping of women, what they are meant to do, what is their primary reason for existence, caring for the family, caring for others other seniors in the family. And being and being pushed to a position where the woman has to be the sole responsible individual in the family to address those kind of requirements. Even at hiring level in many organizations, there is still this unconscious bias. And safety, security, these issues also concern women in terms of having to travel maybe some distance and trying to figure out how they can support themselves in a location where the family is not around them. These are, and of course, finally and most importantly, the societal, it's not just within the family, the society as such. How are we treating women on an everyday basis, not from the perspective of law or the policies of the government, which may be favoring women, but when it comes to brass tacks, we do have this kind of a challenge on a continual basis. At this juncture, I wanted to solicit your views, and once again, we have a set of questions. If you can please share them with our participants, that would be helpful. Well, so if these are the questions why women are not able to pursue their careers, I would be very keen to know. There are two sets of questions. Both will give us, for this group, what are the reasons and why you think women are not in the context of corporates, that organizations that you're part of, what are the inhibitions they have? So moving on from there, yes, we have issues, we have concerns, but there are many organizations who are doing excellent, they have taken up excellent initiatives to support women, whether it is in terms of working hours, the policies of going beyond the mandatory 6 months that the government of India has stipulated for women who would be having their children, I mean, just after their children are born. There are many other policies, including flexible working hours being provided to them. And there is also conscious attempt being made by several companies to train them, to provide mentors. That's so very important for women who are trying to balance both their family life and their work expectations. And there could be many more, and that's where I wanted to know from that set of questions, what is it that these organizations that you are part of, what are the initiatives you have taken specifically in the context of women being successful in their careers? So while we have talked about what are their challenges, while we have spoken about what the organizations can do for them, I think it's extremely important for women to recognize that the starting point is within themselves. Women themselves have to have a self-belief that they are here for a purpose and they would be able to get onto a successful track record by taking initiatives and by fighting those challenges within themselves, and with the help of that sort of energy and support coming from within, be able to confidently articulate and figure out how they can create a niche for themselves. We have several examples of women having experienced this, and I can relate to an experience of my own. Way back when I was a rookie and I was on the shop floor of this manufacturing company, I had to deal with some of the workers, the union leaders, and in the very first week, my boss, he told me to gather some data from the shop floor. And I thought, with the typical MBA airs around me and saying, I'll just go there and I will just ask the shop floor guys to give me the data. They just refused to give me the data, maybe because of my attitude, or maybe because of my approach, or maybe because I was a woman, I don't know. I was not able to collect the data in the format that was required for more than a week. And my manager came upon me very heavily saying, why haven't you collected the data yet? And what did I tell him? I said, I'm not getting the data. They are unwilling to give me the data. So he made me stand up and look into him. And he said, look, Uma, you are supposed to be an MBA. You have come into this organization with your eyes wide open. And if you are saying you cannot collect the data from the shop floor, there's something wrong in you. Do not come to me with any kind of excuses. I want that data positively within the next 24 hours. If you're unable to give me within the next 24 hours, you need to ask yourself, are you in the right place? The message was loud and clear to me that I cannot expect anybody to support or anybody to give me that kind of shoulder to cry upon just because I was a woman or I was weak or I was unable to get what I wanted to get done. That was a huge learning point for me, the starting point in my career. And similarly, if you look at Arundhati, who has Bhattacharya, who was a chairperson of State Bank of India, she has written in this book of her own experience. She would walk into the boardroom, the AC is set for all the men who are wearing blazers, and you know in State Bank of India, senior leadership, they are all wearing blazers all the time. And she was just wearing a sari like me. And she then made it a point that in the boardroom, the air conditioning should be, the levels should be moderated such that women will also be comfortable. So there are many little things like that, which women assume you can't change because that's the way world works. But those little things actually make a big difference to all of us eventually. And therefore, that source of wanting to make a change and transform has to come from within. That's the message I want to give through this particular slide. And if I move on to the next slide, I just wanted to share with all of you. So fine, this is all nice gyan that I'm sharing with all of you here, and a lot of you may also be able to resonate or may be doing a lot of work in this area already. But in our own way, in our foundation, GDD Foundation, we are trying to make a difference to women. And I just wanted to share a glimpse of that. And it's important for us to bear in mind that as an organization, whatever we try to do within the organization, there is much more and a lot more that we can do outside of our organizations through initiatives like these. So we empower more than 50,000 women each year. And when you look at these women, they are coming from the grassroots. They are students who have studied in colleges and struggling for figuring out what they should do in their life. And this is a project called Ankur, where we have empowered more than 15,000 women to become small entrepreneurs on their own. And here is a case study of a lady. In the beginning, they not even earning, not having any money of their own. But the minute they get even 2,000 rupees in their hand, they feel liberated and they feel completely empowered that with that 2,000 rupees, they start dreaming about how it can become 20,000 and 2 lakhs. So that has been a phenomenal experience for me personally and for our teams. And similarly, if you look at electric vehicles, which is really the talk of the town now, the focus of the industry, and many of you are from that industry, we are working closely in 17 locations across the country. And we are making it a point to see that at least 40 to 50% of those learners are women. And I'm happy to say that this girl who is featured here, she is working as the customer service lead for Hyundai in one of the distribution outlets in Delhi. So like these, there are many people who had never dreamt of being able to get into leadership positions or being entrepreneurs, but they have it within themselves. And that's what I wanted to highlight, that if we can give a little bit of a leg up, women have oodles of potential to come forward and make a difference to themselves and to the society at large. So on that note, I would like to end my session by mentioning that there are many contributors to this book who have been experienced leaders or researchers who have contributed to the book. Ijaz Ghani has been economist with the World Bank. Dr. Ganesh, whom you're going to hear speak later for another book, he is the co-editor of this book, and he has also talked about his own experiences within his organization that he ran for successfully as a CEO of Zensar, how women how he could encourage women to come to the top and sustain their positions within the organization. without having to break their careers. And then you have other people. I mean, I mentioned about Arundhati, and also other successful CEOs like Sushma Rajgopalan, who was the CEO for ITC, the software company. She has talked about her experience. Prashant Girbane, who's the president of Maratha Chamber of Commerce, they have also carried out some interesting research on women in entrepreneurship. That's also featured in this book. So I hope this book, through this collective experiences, will give you insights on how women are contributing to the economy and how we can make it a even more fruitful experience for women and for the economy as a whole by tapping into that untapped potential till date. So before I end, I want to see if we have been able to gather the data and if that can be shown on the screen, or else if there is time, we can take a few questions.
Sure. If they've been added into the app, we can take a couple of those questions.
Okay, I think we have some responses here coming up. Can I just have my specs, please? Thank you. Rate the areas where your organization is supporting women in your organization. So we have, for gender-sensitive policies, we have a large number of companies saying yes to it. Flexible work options, not yes, that's about 57%, which is great. Provide mentoring support for women is in the 30s. We need more of that. Gender-balanced hiring at all levels, that's 50% plus, okay. Training program for all employees on unconscious bias and to promote equality, that's very good, 60 plus, great. I think we have a very welcoming organization, an environment with more than 50% of the organizations on the whole having policies which are favoring women to remain in workplace and being successful, but the remaining 40 to 50% of the organizations may want to think about what more can be done in this context. May I have the next slide, please? Is that the only one we managed to gather? That's okay. Okay, all right. What percentage of workforce comprises of women? So we have, I think, 11 to 20% is where we see the needle for most. Out of 37, so we are talking about 30% of 37. So roughly 10 organizations in that category. 0%, fortunately, none. But we really have to look at how do we take it up to more in the 30 bracket and then eventually into the 50s bracket. Okay? The next one, please. So we just got these two questions gathered. Okay, so on that note, I would like to end by saying that yes, it's interesting to find that there is quite a bit of alertness on the parts of your organizations to look at how to support women. As I said, there's still a long way to go in terms of translating the untapped potential. So if you were to go back to your respective organizations at the end of this session, I would like you to think about what more can be done for supporting women, and maybe if that thought process can be articulated, and at the same time, maybe a small write-up on what is it that your organization is currently doing which stands out as that one unique policy. If these two can be put together, perhaps the organizers would be happy to then put it all together and share it with all of you. So please try and attempt that. The first question is, what is it that you think your organization can do more in one aspect of the policy? And the second question is, what is it that you are doing currently it really stands out, which you'd like to share with other organizations? Okay, so thank you very much. I don't know whether we have time to take any questions.
Are there any questions on the app that have come?
Yes, please.
We have one here. Let me give you my mic.
Not a question, but just an update in line with the subject. So last week only Gujarat government had released their policy to employ women in night shift, and district authorities has been advised to check the security and safety protocol in the industry, and the application process will be simplified for that. This is just an update in line with the subject.
Thank you. There are many organizations which are already doing this, but it's very welcome to know, particularly in the manufacturing, IT, BPM. It used to be a big concern for the society, but over the years that has been accepted, and it's really good to know that now the government is notified on this similarly.
I just needed one to know basis. In one of the organizations, I had a 33% women workforce. And we had a challenge to increase that because we had to take a permission from the women to work in the night shift. And all of them, almost all of them, 98%, they wanted to have their shift in accordance to their husband working somewhere. We can accommodate some percentage, but all cannot be run because of the other organizations, what their husbands are doing it. So where we need to start or find a solution to it, because organizers were very willing to go up to 50%, but then this challenge we faced, we tried a lot. We could, basically, at that particular plant, we were employing somewhere around 400 odd people. We could not increase the strength.
No, this is a very valid question, and I would like to mention, as I just said a little while ago, in the BPM sector, the business process outsourcing or management sector, when a large number of resources were being hired, including in the city of Mumbai, there used to be definitely a requirement for a lot of them to work in night shifts, despite organizing transport, ensuring safety, and pick-up, drop-back facilities. There was a huge resistance. And a lot of families, a lot of women had to be counseled, and there was a very detailed method where both the government and the industry came together, and in colleges, in families, in societies, inviting parents and getting them to see what is the work environment like. Lot of such initiatives have been taken by the industry over the years, and today, therefore, there is no murmur whatsoever for those women who want to be part of the BPM sector. So we have experienced this ourselves in a small town like Trichy, where for Capgemini, when we used to train and place women there used to be this kind of objection. We used to invite parents and counsel them, and over a period of time, they have accepted this. So I think a similar kind of a sustained, continuous effort, if we were to put in, there should not be a problem. For us in the manufacturing sector also. And we already have some shining examples of the factories which are run only by women, Ola, Tata, and Mahindra, to name a few, Hyundai. There are many such organizations who are already doing this. So that should be the way forward, I guess.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So I am representing Biocon. So you must be knowing our leader, Madam Kiran Mazumdar Shah. So he has a vision, and we are moving towards 50% of women force. And he heard a lot of challenges. Yes, we do faced a lot of challenges. Currently, we are at 28%, and we are moving towards that 50%. And we do have a thing called the pink ladder for women who can come into a leadership. There are a lot of mentoring has been happening, and thanks to your session, like we have got a lot of insights, and we will get back to organization, and we will put it these thoughts, and we will see like how to improve that. So
Sure.
our aim is to become 28 to 50%. That we are moving towards that.
That's fantastic goal, and I wish you all the best. Yes, mentoring is so critical. They need to constantly be reassured in that journey to continue to do what they are doing. And sometimes mentoring is also required for their partners and their immediate family, at least the high potential women in organizations. We involve, engage the family, so the family knows how important work the lady of the house is engaged with. All of that creates that kind of a momentum, and they wouldn't therefore want to leave that circle where they start experiencing power and the impact that they are able to create. So mentoring is absolutely critical. Yes.
Good morning, madam. I am S.K. Pandey from Ultratech. Just an information, our Pune bulk terminal is totally operated by women manpower. Not a single man is there. The total entire Pune bulk terminal is operated by women.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Delighted to know that.
Thank you. I don't think we have time for any more questions.
Thank you
we
very
need
much.
to put an end to it there. Thank you, ma'am.